Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is for the two-parter, History Repeated, and this is part 2. So I hope you're enjoying it so far. Massive shout out to Dori and a thank you for her amazing commissioned artwork for the thumbnail. I absolutely adore it. So make sure you go and send her some love. Make sure you send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of this second part, the final part, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on other series and other one-shots and other things that are coming your way. And I hope you enjoy. Part 2. Marinette's POV. No, Tikki. Adrien hasn't mentioned what he has planned for the date yet, which is making me think maybe I should plan it instead. Marinette narrowed her eyes and studied the 2 shades of pink thread.
But Adrien's dates are so romantic, said Tikki, pointing to the thread in Marinette's right hand.
What are you saying? That mine aren't romantic? Marinette's eyes shot up from the task and landed on Tikki, who happened to have turned her back.
They are, but they are also more complicated.
No, they aren't. The little red Kwame spun round.
How about the time you created a treasure hunt just to have a picnic with him?
Tikki's eyes went wide as she folded her little arms. Which would have totally been romantic.
If that random guy hadn't found the clue first and thought it was a city-sponsored singles event, turning up moments before Adrien did?
Adrien understood the misunderstanding.
That you planned a treasure hunt at the same time as another corporation did?
Yeah, I mean, how was I meant to know?
Or that this was only your 3rd date? Or that he didn't realise there was a task before the picnic, and once arriving, discovering another guy seemed already on a date with you?
I explained, but he wasn't listening, and the look on Adrien's face, I didn't think he would become jealous like that. Her skin was hot and flushed at the memory of it all. Okay, Tikki, you've made your point. Sometimes I go a little over the top. Marinette flapped a nearby notebook up and down, hoping to cool the burning blush forming in her cheeks at the embarrassment, thinking back to all the elaborate plans she had created in the past.
A lot, Marinette. When it comes to Adrien, you go a lot over the top.
Marinette made a noise through pressed lips as she swatted the notebook through the air in Tikki's direction, but managed to weave out the way.
Like right now, you are designing a ball gown for your 1st year anniversary when you haven't decided when or where.
When is easy. Oh, I've missed helping out on the Marinette magically bumps into Adrien plans. And with Tikki, they could be Bunnix. Marinette and Tikki declared. What's wrong? There's a situation happening, and I need your Miraculous, Ladybug. Bunnix tried to give her a reassuring smile, but her eyes were serious. Marinette stood to her feet and stepped closer to her teammate. You mean me? You need Ladybug? No, I mean I need your Miraculous, Ladybug. I need Tikki to come with me. But, Bunnix, Alex, why? Marinette stopped as Bunnix shook her head. I get that, but if I give you my earrings and Tikki goes with you, I have no way of defending the city. Seriously, Guardian. Time? I'll be back within seconds on your end. Bunnix placed a hand on Marinette's shoulder and shot her a glance at Tikki. She turned and faced her best friend.
Marinette, you know the drill. If Bunnix asks, there is a reason, but we can't ask why.
I would never deny, it's just the why. Why my Miraculous but not me part is a worry. I get it. Tikki? Marinette paused as a little friend flew in front of her. Look after yourself. She sniffled back the tears. This was silly. Tikki knew better than she did. After all, she was millions of years old, and like Bunnix had said, it would only feel like seconds on her part. She lifted her fingers to her ears. Tikki. The Kwame hugged her cheek, and just like that her friend vanished into the ancient studs, which for the first time felt heavy in her palm. She stared at the outstretched white-gloved hands and tipped them in. I mean it, Bug. I will be back within seconds. You won't even have time to miss her. But this is a must. I need to stop history repeating itself. Bunnix took a step into the burrow. What do you mean? History is gotta go. Bunnix waved and sealed it shut before Marinette could say anything else. She waited, counted to 3, and expected another burrow to form, but it didn't. What had happened? Her teammate had promised her seconds. She glanced out the window, not realizing she was holding her breath, listening, expecting an explosion of noise at any second, as if Monic would instantly know that the city was left unguarded. Wait, there was still Cat. She had her kitty. Granted, she couldn't get word to him, but he would still know. Plagg would still know. So it was fine. It's not as if Cat would leave. Or would Bunnix need Cat if she didn't need her? What was she about to do with her earrings and Tikki anyhow? The whole 3 times she had seen Bunnix, Ladybug was needed in one form or another, so the fact that her Kwame was needed but not Marinette churned her stomach. History repeating? Marinette stepped closer to the sewing machine and then took a step back. She stepped towards the ladder, heading up to her mezzanine, and the thought of some fresh air, then stepped back. What if Bunnix returned and didn't realize that she, Marinette, was up there? She clasped her hands together and shuffled in an awkward dance. Oh, come on, Bunnix! The whole time thing, why aren't you back yet? She groaned into the empty room. For the first time in a long while, Marinette felt truly powerless, and she hated this feeling. She inhaled sharply and jumped at the sight of the white circle spinning out in her room. But the look on her friend's face didn't inform her if she had won or lost. But then again, if she lost, could she even return, no matter which point in time she visited? Bunnix? Marinette called softly as her friend stepped back into the room with a blend of emotion stitched into her face. Here you go, as promised. Bunnix held out the earrings. All is good. She sighed. No, all is sorted, but it was Cat who had to help me out. Marinette quickly put on the studs. Is he okay? Tikki? What happened? She is fine, Marinette, but Cat isn't. Bunnix held up a hand to stop the panicked look on her friend's face. Physically, he is fine, but mentally? He has been through a lot and could really do with talking to you. She paused. It's time for the truth. What do you mean, time for the truth? What? Time? The truth. Truth. The room was spinning. Her thoughts were racing. It was time for the truth? She was going to reveal. But what about Monic? What about the rules? What if he didn't like that she, Ladybug, was Marinette? Was it right to Adrien to reveal to Cat first instead of the man she loves? She felt Tikki hugging her cheek, and the comforting touch brought her back into the room. He needs to hear it all, and so do you. Trust me, as Alex and as Bunnix. It will all make sense once you talk to him. But Monic, the rules! She glanced over at Tikki, who was eating her 3rd cookie. Oh, Ladybug, you are the guardian now. You make the rules. And, like I said, it's time. Bunnix chuckled and shot a look at Tikki.
Marinette, Cat needs you. He needs Ladybug. But he also needs you as Marinette.
Marinette bounced on the balls of her feet, twisting her fingers together, not sure which boy she should prioritize. But what about Adrien? Won't that complicate things? Is it really worth the risk anyhow? Marinette, it's time to tell Cat about Cat Blanc. He needs to hear it from you. Why? No. Why would I need to? There is no need to tell Cat. And then Marinette stopped. Everything stopped. Her heart, her breathing, her thinking. A single image of a white cat was the sole focus in her mind as it shifted to a white LadyNoir. No, no, please don't tell me. You needed Mr. Bug, but he wouldn't face another him, which means... She stared at Tikki, to Bunnix, and then back to Tikki, each one of them nodding their heads. Tikki, spot's on. He knows to expect you at your usual spot, and like I told him, I believe it's time, but I will be watching for any signs just in case. She patted her friend's shoulder. Trust your heart, and everything will work out. Bunnix took a step back into the burrow. Thanks, Bunnix, for everything, Ladybug said to the waving hand and smiled. Cat, he will be... Eiffel Tower. Okay, she can do this. It is her turn to be there for her partner, even if it meant revealing her darkest secret. She had guessed right. Ladybug approached. Her stomach continued to flip once she landed. At first, he was still, staring out across the cityscape, and then, without a word, jumped to his feet and pulled her into a tight embrace, his chest shuddering against hers as he let out a quiet sniffle into her shoulder. He had been crying. What had he seen which had affected him to this degree? Cat? Oh, my kitty. Ladybug, it's you. It's really you. You have no idea how pleased I am to see you. Cat wrapped his arms that much tighter around her waist and chest that she was finding it difficult to breathe. If he had witnessed what she suspected he had, this hug made sense, and so did Bunnix's words. They both had a story to tell, and maybe now he would understand. I'm okay, Cat. But are you? You can tell me, you know. Bunnix? Yeah, apparently we both have a story to tell, he muttered into her neck, releasing some of his grip on her. Is there something you have been keeping from me, my lady? Not intentionally, Cat, but at the time I couldn't say anything. The impact it would have had on you? How long? How long have you lived with this secret? About 3 years, give or take. It was hard not to tell you, but at the same time, I struggled to find the words even to myself. I'm so sorry, my lady. He paused before stepping back a little. Fingers brushed down her arms in a familiar gesture. Do you think you could now? She nodded. From what I understand, yours involved an akumatized cat, whilst mine was Lady Noir, or she liked to be called Lady Blanc. Mine was Cat Blanc. She shook her head against the images resurfacing after being buried deep into the back of her mind and heart. Here. He took hold of her hand in his and guided her back towards the ledge he had been perched on, and grabbed a blanket from a basket she hadn't even noticed. Thank you. You're so thoughtful, Cat. She tucked the blue-green soft fabric over herself. There was something familiar about it, which brought a deeper sense of comfort. Then a pang of guilt hit her, wondering when she would be able to tell Adrien these secrets. She was ready to share with a partner. It didn't seem right, even though it was Cat, her best friend. Adrien should know this side of her, but that wasn't possible. Not yet. However, Bunnix was right. For the sake of their partnership going forward, maybe it would make sense if he understood Cat Blanc, or his own Lady Blanc. What had he seen, been through? Was it just as horrendous as hers had been? With one hand clasped together, Cat placed his other around her shoulder, bringing her in. There's no rush. We have all night. Start when you're ready. But how do you start when you have been purposely holding it back? Where do you even begin? Bunnix suddenly appeared. Okay, if she was going to tell the truth, does she tell him the whole truth? Well, she didn't just appear like she'd done earlier. It turned out I did something foolish which triggered it to happen. She glanced up at him, catching his eyes. Truth? Are we... Full honesty. Trust me. Tell me why. What happened? His gaze was soft and tender, drawing her in that much closer. She broke her eyes away from his and instead fixed them on the lights coming from the palace across the river. You know how I have a boyfriend now? Well, he was the crush I used to tell you about. The other boy? She felt her cheeks blush. What was the big deal? Cat had a girlfriend too. It wasn't as if he still felt the same way about her that this new information should hurt his feelings. Well, me without my mask, wanted to give him a gift and I wasn't able to, so I broke one of the rules and transformed into Ladybug, leaving the gift on his bed. Ladybug winced at the sudden cough that burst out of Cat's mouth, but kept her sight on the fixed position. Because I left my name on it, somehow you found out my identity, and that led to you being akumatized and becoming Cat Blanc. I still don't know the details how. She heard Cat mumble something behind her, possibly processing the information. I was on my way back from his house when Bunnix stopped me, saying something went wrong in the future and I had to fix it. She sighed, slumping her head onto his shoulder. This place was awful, Cat. There was nothing left in the world. Everywhere was flooded and cold, and you were standing there, head to toe in white, looking broken. Cat pulled her in that much tighter, his voice croaky. Mine was the opposite. The world was burning, but before that it had been an Akuma battle. I was Mr. Bug, whilst you were LadyNoir, but when I arrived, when Bunnix took me there, you had transformed into Lady Blanc. Do you know how I became akumatized? You knew my name. You knew who I was behind the mask, and kept shouting it out, saying that we were in love, that it was our love which broke the world. But that wasn't the worst bit. Ladybug bit down and rolled her lips, holding back the tears. You wanted my Miraculous, to make a wish, to fix everything, which is when I discovered I was dead. Did I? Did that cat? Or was it you? I mean, that cat released an explosion. Blinding white. Her eyes darted round and fixed onto his. Yeah, but this explosion was powerful, that not only did you kill me along with Hawkmoth, but broke the moon, which then destroyed everything. Cat slipped his hand out of hers and gently cupped her jaw, smearing his thumb across her cheek, wiping away the tears. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but also living with the secret after all this time. But I get it. Bunnix was right. I understand your pain, which is why I'm so sorry you had to endure it. It's not your fault, Cat. What happened? It was my fault that it happened. It was all my fault. Don't say that, Ladybug. It's not your fault. It was never your fault. You can't say that. She said that. She said it was all her fault, when it wasn't. I know you better than anyone else. You are my other half. You are my soulmate. Cat? You? Me? She tried turning her face away from him, but couldn't. I know who you are, Marinette. Please, listen to me. At the sound of her name being spoken so tenderly, she stopped. She, Lady Blanc, knew who I was. She listened as Cat inhaled sharply. After I died in her arms, I transformed back. Something happened to the Ladybug Miraculous, to Tikki, and there I was, in your arms, the man you love. Cat, I love you. You also love me without the mask on, Marinette. What appears to be quite some time, which I think I can safely say to my girlfriend. Ladybug slapped a hand across his mouth, unable to process what he, Cat, was saying as his eyes went wide. Cat? She was reading his eyes, which were soft and loving. She brushed her gloved hands across his lips, wishing she didn't have her suit on so that she could feel them. Cat? Are you saying... She tilted her head to the side, watching the slight breeze catch his golden hair. Was it the same hair she had ran her fingers through countless of times? I didn't believe it at first. What are the chances? My love is my lady. But how you reacted when you discovered that it was me, after I had died, there is no one else it could be. And I'm so sorry, my love. Adrien? Adrien? It is really you, and you've had to go through all that? Battling Lady Blanc, knowing it was me? She edged closer to him so that he could lean on her. Oh, my love, my kitty. How? You wanted my Miraculous to make a wish so that I wouldn't have to live through the nightmares, that the experience would change things between us. But I know we are stronger together no matter what we face in the future, that I will always have you by my side. But both times our love is what broke the world, Adrien. How can we... No, my lady, it's not our love for one another. It's the length Monarch will go through to claim his goal. But our love makes us stronger, not weaker. He leant his forehead against hers. I saw that, as the lucky charm was the lucky charm I gave you. It showed me the journey we shared together. Best friends with and without the masks, falling in love with both sides of each other. There is no one I could possibly love more. You are my soulmate, Marinette. And you are mine, Adrien. The faces rolled together until the lips were touching, and she knew in that moment these were Adrien's lips. This was his kiss. I love you, she murmured, his arms wrapping her in that much tighter. They froze in that moment, simply being in each other's arms, and felt the scar of the past starting to heal. knowing it would take that much longer for Adrien's fresh wound to heal, but this time he would have her to see him through it. She leant back a little and brushed his hair from his face. Spots off, whilst giving him a daring look. As a flash of red filled the space between them, Cat replied, "Claws in." The red and green light blended together as one. Marinette! Oh, how much I hoped it was you underneath the mask. But I never thought I had enough luck. But now that I know, how did I not see? Adrien let out a chuckle, followed by a smile which filled his face. You know, since we started dating... She stopped at the realization, her eyes popping wide. After everything, all this time, I was secretly in love with Cat. She giggled, her forehead slamming into his shoulder. Ah, I knew it. I called it. That twinkle in your eye, my lady. He smiled, kissed her hair. Cat? She groaned into his shoulder. This might take a while to get used to. She lifted her head to catch his gaze. But I am so... My cup is overflowing, Kitty. Oh, why was she on the verge of tears again? But at least these were happy tears. Mine is too, my princess. I love you. In the low light from the lit-up tower, she could tell his eyes were glistening too. Now, do you fancy staying here and watching the sunrise with me? After all, it's Sunday tomorrow, which means we can relax all day watching films and cuddle up. Excuse me? You promised to help me with my science assignment, remember? She pursed her lips in a teasing manner. How about half and half? Plus, it's our turn to make dinner this week. Of course, there is nothing I enjoy more. Plus, I think Tom loves my cooking. Well, you have definitely improved. She laughed as he tried to wiggle his fingers at her sides, knowing where her exact tickle spot was. Anyway, he held up his hands to yield as she turned the tables on him. Where is our more romantic spot to make plans for our first-year anniversary? You've got a point there, my kitty. She let out a little shiver. Adrien wrapped the blanket around her and cradled her in his arms. Even though a part of her knew a reason Adrien wanted to stay up was the fear of the first dream, she got that. She was the one who would understand that. So she was happy to stay in this moment with Adrien when it still felt like them. They were the same couple who loved each other deeply, who teased and joked with each other, who were rediscovering and piecing together different aspects of their personality. History might have repeated itself, but their future, they would face it together. Thank you for listening to History Repeated. I hope you enjoyed it altogether, and especially the last part. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm and helps us support this channel and sends me some love. Make sure you comment down below what you thought of the final part, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on other one-shots and series and other things that are happening for this channel. And I hope you are good, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.